Hey everyone, Tingle here once again, and welcome to a brand new episode of Kooloo-Limpah Tonight. Now, last episode, we saw that you guys really liked the last episode, so thank you so much for that wonderful support, and thus letting us make another episode. Hopefully this one is just as good as the last one, because there was a few things that we spotted that didn't really go well with it. Like the intro you just saw, we didn't have the rendered one. We're using a good old classy one, which is nice. And so as a special guest tonight, which is very special actually, she denied me at first for the first episode, but she's come here tonight to go ahead and join me. Tonight I will be interviewing Leesh, one of the 3 leaders of Amino.
Hello everyone.
As usual, just like Kylie, I'm going to be asking her a few questions, and then we'll go ahead and be carrying on with the show as well with a few more segments. So, Leesh, tell me, what's your favorite thing about your day so far?
About my day?
Yeah, about your day. How's it going?
It's going great, and it's really good that we're seeing a lot more coming from the community, especially today. I don't know why, but I've been seeing a lot of really good content coming out from people. I think with Breath of the Wild being, a week away, people are getting really inspired and really excited, and that's something good for us because it means once the game's out, we're going to have this consistent sort of really good blog content, and that's what we really want.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see that because, one, it's Breath of the Wild, it's really big and exciting, and you saw my fair share of blogs, to be honest. It's probably all I'm going to do till the game comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good that people are coming up with different ideas too. It's not just the same blog that I'm seeing, it's different people, different theories, and that's really refreshing.
Yeah, people are being really open-minded about it. They're not being afraid to go ahead and speak their minds about it. They're like, this is what I think it could be in it, or this is what I think it could happen, stuff like that. And it's really nice to see people do that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what helps with that is the fact we've been waiting so long. It's been kind of annoying that we've waited so long for the game, but I think that's helped with getting people so excited about it. And by the looks of things, I don't think anyone's going to be let down by the game, so that's good to know.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because a lot of people sometimes mistake the date the game actually started going to development, because some people will be like, oh, it's been in development for 4 years or 3 years, but it's really been development right after Skyward Sword-ish, around then.
Yeah, so that was 2011 when they released Skyward Sword, so a long time.
Yeah, so 6 years into development, so hopefully it's worth that 6 years of waiting.
Yeah, and it's for me, I'm looking at it that I think this could be another Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask scenario, that they've spent so much time working on the engine that the next Zelda game, I feel, will be a year, 2 years away, and it'll use the same kind of graphics and engine, but be a brand new game, just like Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask did.
Yeah, I'm hoping that too. So, as my next question, what's it like to be a leader? Because I asked Jay, about what it's like to be a career, but now I want to know from a leader's view. What's it like to be a leader?
How can I explain it? So when I was on the event team, and then I was promoted to a curator, that was a really big leap, because there was a lot more to take on, whereas going from a curator to a leader wasn't as scary thing to do, because I had the same responsibilities as I did as a curator, but a few more things that I can do now. I think what I can mainly say about being a leader is that it makes me more accessible, I guess, with the community, and people are really keen to talk to me, which is really nice. And I think it's great that people know they can come to me for help. The thing is with being a leader, if someone comes to me and there's they've noticed something in the community that's not right, I can deal with that straight away instead of having to message someone higher up and have them deal with it. It's kind of nice that I can just make the community really good.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, a lot of people talk about how the leaders are accessible people, and that's a good thing. Leaders should be accessible to the community because they're a big part of the community. That they kind of represent who we are when they're talking to other communities. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that thing. We don't want people to be scared of us or see us as these horrible people that can ban you, because that's the last thing we want to come to, You have to do something really bad for that to happen. To put it in perspective, out of the leaders and curators, I'm the oldest, and I turned 20 in April. So we're not these like big like 40-year-old scary people. We're just the same age as everyone in the community. Just we've got a bit more to do.
Well, that's actually interesting because I actually thought you seem more like the youngest out of the three leaders, and Pixel seems more like the more mature and older one out of the three of you.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things. I think with Pixel and Zelda and me, we all act maybe a bit mature for our years, but we're the kind of people, if you came to us and you wanted to laugh and a joke, we're totally up for that, you know. It's not all deadly serious on Amino. If you're willing to, you know, apply by the guidelines and you want a bit of a fun time and laugh, we're totally up for joining in with that.
That's awesome. I mean, everyone likes to go ahead and joke around with a few people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes people will feel a bit like, oh, I want to say a joke to you, but I don't know if it's going to get me in trouble. And it's like, you know, if you're saying it in like a general jokey way and you're not going out in a horrible way, we're going to take it as a joke and we're going to play along with you. Like, we're totally up for a fun time.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, people can joke about pretty awful things, and it's good and very wise to say that you're joking about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying, you know, personal things or you're making certain jokes that aren't necessarily funny for everyone, then that's a bit of a dodgy area. But general jokes, you know, we're all up for it. We all joke in our like leader chat and stuff, so
That's good to hear. So I want to know exactly, do you guys have like specific favorite members out of like the big ones? Like, not to be rude or anything, but just wondering, because some people say that you guys do have your favorites.
I don't think so. Well, from my standpoint, I definitely don't. I'm not sure about the other guys, but I don't think they do. It's one of those things, if you see someone put out a blog, we'll kind of like message each other in the chat like as a joke, like, oh, guess who's put another blog up again, and we'll all be laughing and like, I can't believe it, because there's some people that daily blog and they do really good content, and it's like, how are they doing this? You know what I mean? Like, people are like really talented on Amino. But in terms of a favorite member, I don't think so. There are people that definitely stand out, and you like see them blog, and you're like, I know this is going to be really awesome. But from my standpoint, anyway, I don't have any favorites.
That's good to hear, because like some people will be all like, this person's awesome and great, you know, like their favorite member, and then there are those certain people that are all like, they have their favorite and I'm just there, I guess. You know, some people are like that. I'm like, well, no, they're not. You know, you guys watch out for us, and that's really great of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, obviously, we are quite young ourselves as leaders and curators, so we do have our own lives outside Amino. People are at college, work, and school, so we can't always be on the feed looking for things to feature. So occasionally there will be times when we've missed a blog that is feature worthy, and all I'd say is please don't be disheartened by that if you feel you've been missed out, because it's never a deliberate thing, you know. We try our best to feature everything that fits the guidelines of being feature worthy, because everyone deserves the opportunity to show off their talents, whether it's drawing or blogging, or maybe your podcast is gonna, you know, encourage people to do actual speaking videos. So we never mean to like miss anything, and it's one of those things, if you feel that your blog was feature worthy and it wasn't featured, you can always message us and ask and see if we missed it or if it's lacking something that you can add, and we're completely up for talking to people about it.
That's great. I mean, sometimes I wonder, like, is my blog feature worthy? I may never know. You know, like, I work hard on a blog and then I post it and it doesn't turn out as well as it did, but you know, that kind of happens.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to know a general idea of what we consider to be feature worthy, to give people a outline sort of thing, what we really like is obviously it to have at least one picture in it that obviously is relevant to either your blog or The Legend of Zelda, and then we look for 2 paragraphs of writing in the blog, either if you've done a drawing to explain how you drew that and what techniques you used, or if it's a general blog itself about a Zelda game. We require 2 paragraphs of text because we just think that's a good content for people to read. Obviously, if you write more than that, that's even better. But yeah, as long as it sticks to that idea of at least one picture that's relevant, 2 paragraphs that are relevant to the app, yeah, that's what we'd consider feature-worthy.
That's good to hear, because some people I'll see the occasional crappy post where it's just like that one small sentence, and then there's a picture that they drew supposedly, because sometimes people steal art from other people, and it's not cool.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most of the time we can spot that it isn't drawn by someone, because there's just, I don't know, I guess there's that instinct, like, I've seen this online before. But obviously if someone's done a step-by-step, like showing pictures and describing, it took me this long to do, and I drew with this kind of pencil, you kind of look and think, yeah, they've spent a lot of time on that.
Alright, yeah, that's good to hear, because it's not cool to steal people's art. But moving on. So I figured I'd go ahead and ask you a Breath of the Wild question, just to go ahead and be sure you're into it, What do you think about everything with the DLC?
Okay, so this is one that I think it depends on your situation, like in your general life, whether you're pro the DLC or not. For me, because obviously I have a job and I'm earning a good salary, it's not a problem, and it's like, okay, it's £20. I'd prefer not to be paying that on top of the £60 for the game, but alright, it looks decent. I can also see it from the standpoint, like, I put it in perspective. If this was when the Wii came out, I was at school and I didn't have a job, and my parents wouldn't have paid for the DLC. So I know there's probably a lot of people out there like that their parents have maybe bought them the game, but they'd be like, why do you need another £20? I just bought you the game. So yeah, there's that. But when I look at it, the 3 additional chests I feel could have been free DLC. Like, that's a bit stupid not to. DLC pack 1, I really don't see why that's there. But I think the second pack with the new story is definitely worth the money. But like I say, it depends on the individual whether you think it's worth it or not.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with you. Like, in my opinion at least, I think that the first pack and the 3 treasure chests should have been like a free thing, like that's a free DLC. And the second DLC I can see being worth like maybe $15,
Yeah, exactly.
Because we get new story, a new area, I'm pretty sure, right? You get a new area?
I think so, is it a dungeon? I think you get maybe?
Yeah, we do get a new dungeon, but I'm not sure if we get like a new entire area. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But like, in my situation, since I don't have a job and I'm still in school, it's a little hard to work with,
Yeah, and it's like, I look at it from the perspective if I was still in school and I didn't have a job, like that £20 would go towards another game for the Switch instead of DLC for a game I've already got. So you have to weigh up whether you think it's worth it or not. If people are unsure, I mean, they can wait until it's completely the DLC's come out and have people review it. But I'm not sure if people want to miss out. It's hard.
Yeah, especially since as of recently, Anuma commented on the DLC. He mentioned that we've recently seen like comments about the green tunic, will it be in the game, and supposedly it will be inside of one of these DLCs.
Oh, okay, I haven't heard that. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, and personally, I'm hoping that it is in the game, because who doesn't like the green tunic?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be something that is very rude of Nintendo to do to their fans, like saying, oh, if you want the iconic green tunic, you have to spend this money additionally from the game. I don't think that's right, Like, for example, with the Breath of the Wild amiibo, like, they're not giving you anything that you wouldn't get in the game. They're just giving you the option to have it earlier than everyone else. So that's fine by me, because it's like, if you want to get this earlier, then you can buy the amiibo. Or if you just want to wait until the game wants you to, don't buy the amiibo. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, if you're gonna do something like that, you should do it like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I asked Eileen this too, just because it's such a big controversial topic to the game, but what do you think about the voice acting? Do you want it or do you not?
When I initially like heard the first like voice when it was like open your eyes at E3, I was a bit skeptical and I wasn't too sure, but I think it was because it was something new.
Yeah.
There were so many new things they were bringing. I was like, okay, are they taking this a bit too far now? But as it's gone on, and like when we saw obviously the trailer from the Switch presentation, and you heard so many different voices, I actually thought, okay, this is actually a really cool idea. You know, some people that are going to be big influences in the game are going to be actually talking to you this time instead of just, you know, some grunts and text. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much warmed to the idea now, and I'm kind of liking it. Just obviously no talking from Link, please, Nintendo.
Yeah, I told Eileen that too. I'm like, if they do something like that, they have to do it like just right, or else they're gonna ruin Link entirely.
Yeah, exactly. I think, like, obviously we don't know. Well, we know that it's obviously Zelda, one of the people that's doing the voice acting, but I feel like the older woman could possibly be Impa, which would be really awesome to have her actually speak to you. But like, yeah, I agree with you in terms of Link. Like, he's the silent protagonist.
Oh yeah.
Keep him that way, because like Aonuma has said multiple times that Link isn't a person. He's the player, you know? He's silent because you're supposed to feel like him. So it'd be a bit silly for him to then be talking. That ruins their whole concept.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. And to be honest, I think that when they put in the voice acting element into the game, they're gonna make it feel more immersive, because you're not just the only one talking, saying all these lines and stuff. They have their own voice and their own saying thing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really interesting, because obviously I don't know if they're gonna do it the way that like other games do, where the mouths are moving at the same time, or if it's just, you know, the voice is over top of the cutscene. I'm not sure how they're going to implement that, but I think either way it'll really, like you said, immerse people more in the game and care more for these characters that we already love. But the fact that they are speaking to us and we can relate to them more, that's really awesome.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So I figured I'd go ahead and ask you like one last question.
Okay.
And it's more not like relating more to Zelda or the community. Well, it's more like both actually. What content do you want to see most from Breath of the Wild?
In terms of the game or on Amino?
Like in the game, but on Amino. Like what you want to see that's from the game that's on the Amino, you know, like about it.
Okay. Well, obviously there's going to be a lot of Let's Plays, so not any more Let's Plays. That's going to happen for certain. I'd like people to take a unique approach, you know, play the game and be like, okay, what's something that no one else is going to blog about that makes me stand out, you know? Like, if someone decided they were going to spend time blogging about all the recipes you can make on the Great Plateau and what increases your hearts and what isn't a good combination for food, or thinking about just something that's unique. Like, I don't want to see 20 blogs about how great the Great Plateau is, you know? Of course, like, people can blog about what they want, but I'd love to see, when I'm scrolling through the feed looking for stuff to feature, that there's like a bunch of different topics that can go on the feature feed, and just everyone can just read and they're like, oh, this is so different and great, because that's something that Amino really thrives off of, when it's got different content on the feed, because then there's something for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. Like, I would love to see stuff focused on cooking. That's a really great example right there. Like, all these different recipes of what can be made inside Breath of the Wild, because then people can try it in like kind of in like a real life kind of way, you know, because of this whole new cooking element. You can like, hopefully people are going to be making blogs about good ways to hunt, because I'm going to be one of those people that are going to be hunting everything while spurning the world.
I think everyone's going to burn it at some point. You gotta burn it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, like, it's just a world that's so open to you that you can actually burn it now, so it's just, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, going off the idea of cooking as well, there could be someone that decides they want to blog about weapons and how much defense a certain weapon can give you till it breaks, or how you can, like, I don't know if we're going to have an upgrading system for weapons in Breath of the Wild, but if there is a way to upgrade, maybe someone could explain that. And it's one of those things for people, if they're looking and they think, I want to know some cooking recipes, they can click on that. Or if they're like, I want to figure out cooking for myself, they don't have to read it.
Yeah, like some stuff that you don't have to like mandatorily read and stuff. Like how to beat this boss really fast. Like, oh, I want to know how to do that or not do that. You know, it's just kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things we're trying to make a priority, that if there's going to be major spoilers in a blog, you've got to put that in the title or it's going to get taken down until you change that. You know, us as leaders as well, we are really looking forward to the game. We don't want the game to be spoiled or ruined for us. So we appreciate spoiler-free stuff too. It's one of those things, if you want to seek out spoilers and it's in the title, go right ahead. You see all the spoilers you want. But if it's not in the title and the spoilers in the blog, it's going to get taken down, basically.
Yeah, speaking of the game, actually, how many of you, like, out of the creators and leaders have actually, like, pre-ordered the game for either the Switch or the Wii U?
I'm trying to think. I've ordered it for the Switch. I think Zelda is getting it for the Wii U. And I think, I'm not sure about Pixel, because I think she tried to pre-order the Switch, but she couldn't get one. So whether she's going to buy it for her Wii U and then buy a Switch later, I'm not sure about that.
That's interesting. So can we expect to see like blogs about you and Zelda kind of like contemplating on which version is better and which one you can get better experience out of?
Yeah, we actually discussed that like a few weeks ago, because I said, like, I keep annoying them in the leader chat with my Breath of the Wild hype. I'm like too hyped. But she said, oh, I'm getting the Wii U version. Why don't we play up to a certain point, like maybe until we get off the plateau, and like tell people what we like about the Switch version and what you don't. And I'll say what I like about the Wii U and what I don't. And I was like, oh, that's something that's really interesting. And it'd be really fun to experiment and see, because I honestly don't think there's going to be much difference between the two, but we don't know until we play it.
Yeah, like, to me, I only see a graphics difference, and I personally prefer the Switch version of Breath of the Wild, but I'm gonna end up probably getting the Wii U version, because Wii U's are cheaper, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's true. It's one of those things that after my Nintendo Wii, I skipped the Wii U generation because I was still at school, and my parents were like, isn't that just a slight upgrade to the Wii? So they didn't really understand it, so I didn't get the Wii U. But obviously now I've got a job, I'm buying the Switch. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be slight graphical update, better, I think, frames per second, which, to be honest, isn't that big a deal. And I can take it on the go. That's an important thing for me.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. So, with that last question, I think we can wrap up the show now. But before I leave, Leesh, would you like to ask me a question before we leave?
Yeah, sure. So this is a question I always like to ask people, because it always gives different responses, and I like that. So, the world of Hyrule and the Zelda series has visited other games like Mario Kart and Animal Crossing. If you could pick another like gaming world or game to collaborate with, which would you do a crossover with for Zelda?
Any game.
Any game.
Oh, that's a tough question. Probably any roguelike game, to be honest. Like any roguelike game, because having a roguelike Zelda game would be amazing. Because if you guys don't know what a roguelike game is, it's like where you start the game and you start having a good run and stuff, you're exploring the world, killing things, but then the sad thing happens and you die, like in any game. But when you die, everything is lost, your progress, your items, gone. You have to start the whole game all over again. That's what I'd like to see.
Well, that'd be pretty awesome.
That would be, especially for a Zelda game. So, thank you everybody for listening to this segment of the show. Leesh, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Now, next segment is going to be Key, just like last time, and we're going to be talking about a new item. This time it's a surprise. Alright, so thank you all for listening to this part. Hello everyone, Tingle here once again, and with me is Key Time making a return. Key, do say hello.
Hello guys, KeyTime15 here once again, bringing you guys some awesome props and stuff to do regarding Zelda hype, and if you're ready for this, as much as I am, then just smash that like button already.
Yeah, very enthusiastic. Today, since of course episode 2 is now based off of Breath of the Wild, Key has actually made a Breath of the Wild themed item for us that we can all make together, as long as we follow his simple little steps. So, Key, what have you made for us today?
Well, Tingle, as you can see holding in my hand, I have a Sheikah Slate. This is the signature item of Breath of the Wild. It's Link's companion, and possibly his greatest weapon that we have ever seen in his arsenal. It can lift heavy metal objects, it can hurl bombs out of midair, it can do all sorts of things. And while I can't say we can do that now, with just a prop that's going to be made mostly out of cardboard, it's going to be a really interesting project, and if everybody's ready for this, let's just get right into it.
Alright, so, Key, for starters, of course, we need to ask, how long do you think this project will take us?
If I had to make an estimate, it'd take at least under an hour, depending on how much time you're taking with the paint job and different stuff like that. But it takes too long because this is, again, mostly cardboard and maybe an LED light, so yeah, it won't take too long.
Oh, okay. So, like, if we're, say, running low on time for, like, say, Zelda or Link cosplay for Breath of the Wild, and we have a low amount of time, you can just go ahead and slap that together and call it good.
You could. If you have a hot glue gun, you could practically put this thing together just like that. And that's why I recommend using, for practically all my projects, is a hot glue gun. So you guys best get one.
Alright, that's good to know. So, Key, what kind of items will we need for this project?
Well, you'll mostly need either cardboard or foam board. That is the main piece of it. Then you'll also need an LED light, preferably something circular and flat. You can get those at Walmart for maybe like $2 or $3. Then some paint, some modeling clay, and then you're all set.
Alright, so now that we have our materials, what steps are we going to follow, Key? Like, how are we going to do this?
Well, first thing you're going to want to do is, I think I'll leave this in like I'm not sure, I don't have the measurements just yet, but it'll be just the box itself is going to be different cutout pieces to the right shape and size of the main body of the Sheikah Slate. It's going to be all black, so if you have black foam board, that's perfect, just leave it like that, but if you don't, then just get some black paint, black spray paint, spray it over that, and that's step 1. It's pretty simple, you don't really need to even do a whole lot with that. Just leave it to your imagination.
That's good to know. So what do we do after we get that step out of the way, Key?
Well, after that, Tingle, you're going to have your LED light placed inside of the box ahead of time with a hole cut out. That's the LED light right there. It's hard to explain just while I'm sitting here staring at a computer screen, but you'll have the LED light just placed inside the box with the hole in the box so it can like shine out of it and give that cool glowing effect. The rest is pretty simple actually. You just need to get the modeling clay and shape it into the correct shape of the front on the box with the Sheikah eye and the 3 prongs on the top, like the eyelashes. I don't know. Then on the back there is another thing you can do. I didn't actually do it with my first Sheikah Slate, but I will be doing it with this one. If you want the full tutorial video wise, go to my channel. But on the back, I wanted to try doing something brand new. We're going to add a little screen to the back, just like Link can use for like his scope and to select the runes and place markers on the map, all that good stuff. All you're going to want to do for that is get a nice thin sheet of plastic, preferably something that's just like see-through, flimsy, doesn't really matter. It could even be a plastic bag if you wanted. You're going to want to print out a piece of a map. It doesn't even matter where, just a Breath of the Wild map off Google. Just print that off in the correct shape and size, place it on the back, place the plastic over it, then use the modeling clay accordingly on the back, the little designs that are on it. I don't know how to explain that. Swirly things. And then after that, it should be pretty much done. The light on the front can glow, flicker, whatever you want to do. Just do whatever you want with it, guys. Let your imagination go wild. I myself might even start adding some things to it along the way. Updating you guys, like with every episode of Kooloo-Limpah Tonight if you want. I'm not sure. Tingle just has to tell me what I gotta do. I work for him. Please help. And that's just about all, guys. The tutorial is pretty fast, pretty simple to explain. But if you guys would like to see a video of it, it should be up on my channel within the next week or two. I don't have anything to show you guys right now except for the one I made previously and the one I'm holding in this little picture of Ocarina of Time Link. But that's about all.
Alright, thanks for that, Key.
My pleasure, Tingle.
I can't wait till you come back next time to show us something new and interesting for the next themed episode.
Oh yeah, can't wait for that, guys. I have some stuff planned. Just
Oh
wait.
yeah, we're just gonna drop a few hints here and there on our Twitter. There should be a link to that in the description below.
Go follow us.
Follow us on Twitter. You can get some of the cool news that we're gonna put down. So yeah, thanks Keith for joining us. I can't wait to go ahead and check out this new Chica Slit.
Yeah, you better follow that tutorial, man. I'm gonna be disappointed.
Alright, so guys, stay tuned for the next segment, and I'll catch you guys in there.
Later.
Hey everybody, Tingle back here again with Leesh, of course, and we're here to go ahead and talk a bit about Breath of the Wild since it's been out for about, say, 2 weeks or so. I'm actually going to ask Leesh a few questions real quick about how she's enjoyed the game and basic stuff about it. So, for starters, Leesh, how often do you tend to go off course in the game?
I think it happens occasionally. It's not a thing that all the time, but I kind of like the distraction. I try and set myself a goal at the end of the day, and at the end of my play session. My first goal was complete the map, so activate all the towers, and I've done that now. And then I set myself the goal, activate all the divine beasts, which I've done. So then basically now I'm free roaming the map. I can go to any one of the divine beasts to complete them whenever I want, and now I can just look for shrines and find all the side quests and stuff. So that's cool.
That is pretty neat. Actually, I myself, I haven't actually completed all the towers at all, or all the shrines. Actually, the shrines can be really hard because there's over, 100 or so?
Yeah, I think there's about 120, I think. That's the official number.
That's a lot, but I think I could pull that off.
Yeah, they're only well, it depends on the difficulty, but they vary from 2 minutes to 10 minutes in length, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, there's actually one that I found in the middle of the ocean, which I don't think I can really say it because I want to make this video I want to make this episode very much spoiler free, because everybody hates to spoil it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, true.
So don't want to get into that. That's good. So what's your favorite area of the map so far, since you've basically explored it all?
Well, it's weird to me because I've never been someone in Zelda games to gravitate towards a certain race. But within this game, I really like Zora's Domain, and I really like the Zoras this time around. Zora's Domain was one of those, when I walked in, I was like, whoa, this looks really cool. And it looks like a place where you think the Zoras would probably live. And I really like that.
Yeah, I felt the same way actually when I went into the Zora's Domain, which is, by the way, this is the only place where I actually explored thoroughly was the Zora's Domain. I was all like, oh, this looks exciting. Let's go here. It's really beautiful, actually. You walk in, you're like, wow, this is pretty neat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm hoping that all the other places are like that too. Recently I just discovered the desert, so hopefully, I can find some pretty cool stuff there.
Yeah, I think, because obviously I've activated all the beasts. I've been to basically the 4 main areas, and they all have their own kind of little thing about them that makes you go, okay, that's really cool. But for me, Zora's Domain was one of those when I actually was like, wow, this looks really cool. But I think it just depends on individual tastes. Each area has got its own thing that's really cool about it. So you're never going to be bored with the game, basically.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with that, especially with the main bosses the rock monster, I forgot what his name is, on the Great Plateau, or the giant Inoxes around everywhere, Thanks to the Blood Moon, we get those guys back. Yay!
Yeah, the Blood Moon's pretty intense.
Yeah, especially if you complete an enemy hideout, then that can get kind of rough.
Yeah, definitely.
So I hear some of the divine beasts are bland. Is this true?
I think in terms of when you're activating them, there's kind of a, I don't know, would you call it a mini boss battle? I'm not sure. But to activate them, you have to kind of do a challenge from each area. And some of them were kind of you're kind of going through the motions because you want to activate it. But for me, the one in the Rito area, that was really interesting. and the one in Zora's Domain was really cool. But like the Goron one and the one in Gerudo Desert, I wasn't really that keen on them. But like I say, it's to each player's taste, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, and I actually heard the same thing about like the Goron one, of course, the one in the Goron City area. I hear it's like pretty bland. It's not that fantastic, although the concept I hear is pretty neat. So hopefully it is.
Yeah, I mean, to not like, I won't spoil it for anyone, but it's kind of a thing with the other ones. You kind of have like this set goal, and you're like communicating with the how do I put it? Like a specific member of that race. I'll put it that way. And with the Goron one, it's kind of like I don't know. It just doesn't have the same feeling as the others because it's kind of like a start-stop sort of thing, whereas the others kind of are fluent. So yeah, I think with that one, it's a bit bland in that sense.
All right. So this is more like a personal question, but do you tend to have trouble sometimes when you're around or even close to Hyrule Castle?
My first time I tried to go to Hyrule Castle, yes, because I was not prepared at all. But when I managed to activate the tower, I did okay. It wasn't like I didn't breeze through it, but it was okay because you kind of think of a strategy and stuff. But in terms of entering the castle, I have not attempted that. I know I'm not ready for that, so I'm just getting prepped for that.
Fascinating. So just as like a question for everyone really here actually. Have you taken on the Calamity Ganon at all?
No, I haven't.
I'm not gonna say anything about the fight because although I've seen videos online about the Calamity Ganon, I ended up watching through the entire thing. But it's worth everything. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard that, but I've heard as well quite a few people have said that it's kind of a bit of a disappointment because you're so beefed up on weapons and hearts and everything that it kind of appears a bit easy. Obviously, I don't know if it will be when we get there, but that's what a few people have said.
I guess it more just depends, because you can do it whenever you want. They've said this before, and it's kind of expected that you do it, like, kind of then. Like, I'm going to do it now, 10 hearts. Or you can go and be like, oh, now I'm going to do it with, like, 30 hearts now.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Which, to me, can be all like, that's kind of stupid. But
I think it's kind of a thing, if you're a speedrunner, it's your dream that you can go straight to the boss battle. But I think for people like us that have been waiting so long, I'm kind of, as much as I want to complete the game, I'm kind of taking my time, getting all the scenery in and enjoying the game for what it is. For me, it's not a race, If like everyone on Zelda Amino completes it before me, I'm cool with that. I'm enjoying it at my pace.
yeah, and I'm playing the same way actually. I've been waiting for like, how long has it been? Like 4 years since the game was announced?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, something like crazy like that. And it's been development for 6 years then, because it started development like, what, right after Skyward Sword? Is that right?
Yeah, so 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think it's definitely worth the wait. Like, it's got a lot of things inside of it. The story, from what I've played so far, is pretty decent,
Yeah, I think so too. And the fact is that I feel people can't argue now about the DLC because the money we've paid for the game itself is worth that amount. Like, you're not going to complain that the game wasn't enough. It's just, if you have completed the game and in summer you want something else, you can then get the DLC. It's not a big deal now.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. But even before like the game came out, I'm all for the DLC, because it's just more Zelda.
Yeah.
I don't get why people complain about, but like a lot of people have been speculating about what the DLC is, and I think when we complete the game, that's when we're gonna find out.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, it can go either way. But moving on from like story stuff, that way we don't spoil anything, So, how do you feel about the Hero's Tunic?
I mean, to me, I'm not actually that fussed because I really like the champion shirt. I think it's down to choice, but I like the fact that it fits in with the game and you're kind of matching with Princess Zelda. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about that too. Like personally, I really want to get it though, just because I just want it, you know.
Yeah, it's like with the amiibo, with certain amiibo, you can get like different outfits and stuff, which I think is cool.
Actually, that's pretty neat. But like, as a more interesting question, I guess I can say is like, what's your favorite fighting style? Like, do you prefer using the heavier weapons, the less heavy weapons?
Well, I kind of have I think I've nearly unlocked 15 item slots now, so I'm kind of mixing my weapons up. So I've got a few spears, I've got swords, and then I've got like heavy like hammers and stuff, and I just switch it depending on like who I'm fighting. If I'm like fighting beast out like giant things, I'm going for like shock arrows and then a massive sword to like take them out. And if it's minor enemies, I'm like using like bokoblin, like bats and stuff.
That's pretty good, but I would totally agree with that. You know, it's just like a varied thing. To my own personal taste, I think I much prefer like spears or swords, because then you can go ahead and use a shield, or you can attack really fast.
Yeah, there's some really cool swords actually that you can find.
Yeah, like I myself have actually found like a few inside of shrines, which are pretty amazing to my own eyes. I'm just like, whoa, that's so cool, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I think it just really comes down to stuff like shrines that you get interesting things, you know, because you can either get an amber, opal, or maybe even like a really strong weapon like a bow or a sword.
Yeah.
This is like a more of a question that may concern a bit of the community in it, but how do you feel about people talking about the story within the community?
I kind of like it kind of bugs me when people talk about it without like hinting at spoilers and stuff. Because for me, if someone spoils like a minor thing about the game, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But like the story is something that's really important, and I've waited so long, and I don't want it ruined. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are the same way. So I think people need to be like a bit more like polite and courteous in that sense of making sure, you know, spoiler warning is the title, that they don't have their first picture that's a spoiler, because it's then optional. You know, if you're giving people the choice, if you read here there's going to be spoilers, then that's fair game.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with you on that. Like, it can be pretty annoying, especially if you haven't like completed the area at all or don't know what they're talking about. And you're all like, because you could be interested in it, and then when you read it, you're like, oh crap, I shouldn't have read that. That was a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I stumbled across a few videos on YouTube, and it told me like, you know, how you got heart containers and stamina vessels, which is not a big deal to me, but I would have liked to have figured that out on my own. But
Yeah, personally, like, I wasn't afraid to watch that. I was like, I'm all for this because I want to get as much health or stamina as possible. But then there are those people that like blog about who is the old man.
yeah, that's kind of a giveaway blog.
Kinda, yeah. But when you say something like that, like personally, that's a really big spoiler. No one should make a blog about it and not put a spoiler warning in there.
Yeah, very true.
Even if it's like a kind of like a giveaway thing, some people will like kind of underestimate the old man, be like, he can't be important. But I'm just gonna say now though, just because a lot of people underestimate him, he is important to the story.
Yeah, he's important, and without giving away spoilers, some people that predicted who he was got it right. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, like they did get it right, but not in like the correct way, but they did.
Yeah, in a roundabout way, people got it right.
More is that like, this is more like a question of your knowledge of the game, but did you know that around the entire world there are actually like landmarks named after characters inside of the entire Zelda franchise?
Yeah, I've noticed a few. I noticed around, I believe, Zora's domain, they had lakes named after Zora's in the band. So there's like Toto Lake, and like it's just a really cool reference. And I think there was an area that was like Lake Saria or something like that, and Tingle Island, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Was there really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to send me a screenshot of that later so I can find Tingle Island, because I need a return home.
Yeah, it's spelt wrong. it's spelled wrong. It's like Tingel, but I'm guessing that still is a reference.
I'm thinking the same thing. Yeah. I think my favorite thing that I've found so far is actually like just that altogether, you know, because you find these different places and you're like, oh, this looks interesting, just because it has like, say, my favorite character's name in it.
Yeah, it's something that if you haven't played a Zelda game before, you kind of look at it like, okay, that's a cool name. And if you've played like me, you've been playing like all of them, you're like, oh my god, that is such a cool reference, you know, and it just makes you kind of go, that's awesome.
Yeah, and like personally, my favorite location that I found so far actually is like Daphnis Mountain, which if no one has ever played Wind Waker, you should play it by now. You know, it's a great game. If you haven't, Daphnis is actually the last king of Hyrule. So, and this is like a good tip if you want to like get some cool stuff over there. There's a really, really neat weapon near Daphnis Mountain. You'll definitely thank me later on. Yeah. As like, I guess a question for those who really want to know how high weapons can do damage. But what's the highest amount of damage you've seen in Weapon 2?
At the moment, I think it was 50.
Really?
Yeah, because I haven't been really using the really beefed up weapons yet, so I don't know what my max is. But at the minute, the one that I've actually used on enemy was 50.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I think like that weapons shouldn't do stuff that's like insane, like an insane amount of damage, you know, because that's kind of ruin the entire experience, you know, of like you have to survive in this world. And I like how they didn't make the Master Sword like super duper powerful like people think they would have done, you know, like I'm gonna say spoiler right here, you know, spoiler, watch out guys, the Master Sword does this amount of damage, oh no. It does like last I checked, someone using it, I think it does around 60 damage, you know.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was all like, oh, I thought it'd do like more than that, you know. It's the Master Sword.
Yeah, that's rather odd.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it too is that the Master Sword can break.
Interesting.
Yeah, it can break. They weren't kidding when they said everything is breakable. But don't be afraid because it actually comes back over time. So don't ask me. I don't know how it does it.
Magic.
Magic. Ask Nintendo. They know all the magic. Yeah. Personally, I think it's really cool that it can break.
Yeah, it makes you not invincible, I guess.
Yeah, because Nintendo did have the right to go ahead and do that, because when it comes to the other Zelda games, I feel like that's where some fun can be added, but taken away as well.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, this is going to be our closing question real quick. What has been the most interesting thing you've seen in Breath of the Wild? Like, not just like a place, but anything really, the most interesting thing.
Well, that's a tough one. I think like one of the most interesting things for me, which is kind of minor, I guess, in the terms of like everything, but is the fact of the NPCs reacting. And they don't just react in a specific sequence, they react to like everything. Like for example, when I was in the Gerudo like area, I went to attack someone with a sword and they went to attack me with their sword. And if it rains, they will run indoors for shelter. They all have like their own little things that they're doing, and it's really cool to just sit back and observe it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things I like about the game, but that's something that's really cool.
Yeah, and I actually feel the same way about the game. The NPCs, that's probably not just a big movement for Zelda, but I think it's a pretty big thing for gaming too, because they're pretty good for the genre it's in. I'm being honest with you. Like, it's probably the best NPC I've seen.
Yeah, it's like, for example, one that made me laugh was I was on a bridge and I was going to jump off to paraglide somewhere, and an NPC was walking on the bridge, and he then spoke to me and was like, dude, like, you don't have to do this, like, as if to say, you don't have to jump. And I was like, what? That's so weird, but it's awesome.
Yeah, like, it's as though like every NPC really does think for themselves, and they all have their own mind. It's a charm.
It's really cool because if you take, for example, like Ocarina of Time, they're all very, like, I'd say stale. Like, not in a bad way, but because of, like, when it was made and stuff, they couldn't really give them this freedom. But now it's, like, they are, like, real people, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's fun that you mentioned Ocarina of Time, because when we really, like, think about Ocarina of Time, some people say it is the best Zelda game, and, well, personally, I didn't really think that. It was okay, you know? Ocarina of Time isn't the best. Shocker, I don't really like it.
I think for me, I was like, Ocarina was my favorite like console Zelda, and Minish Cap was my favorite handheld. But now when I've played this, like Ocarina is second, because this is just incredible. Like, I don't know how people could put something above this with all that you can do. And like, if you look at the scores this is getting, like, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Like, when I first heard about it getting all these scores, I'm all like, I hope this is what I've been waiting for. And when I actually started playing it, you know, and started getting off the Great Plateau and actually exploring the world, I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, it was worth the wait and the money as well, because it's just been a long time, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny if you look on like Metacritic itself, there are some people that are like so like bad in their responses. Like, people that obviously are like Xbox, PlayStation fans are like putting a score of like 0 out of 10 and saying it's the worst game ever, and I'm like, really? If this was on your console, you'd be giving it 10s. Like, chill out.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like, it's weird that people are very biased about video games and consoles, and I think it's just stupid.
Yeah.
If you're a if you're a mega Nintendo fan, try a game from a different console. Like, go ahead and play a game on your computer, or maybe go to a friend's house that you know that has like an Xbox or a PlayStation and give it a shot. They're not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's that thing that, you know, if an Xbox or a PlayStation game, say, got a better score than Ocarina of Time, which is currently the highest like critic rated game, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, how is a PlayStation game doing so well? I must like give it a bad score to send it down. I wouldn't do that. Like, it's just those consoles, from my terming of gaming, they're not designed for me. They don't appeal to me, but that doesn't mean they're bad or that I should hate them. So I don't really get it.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. Like, personally, I actually like both Xbox and Nintendo just because I like both the games that they produce, because they, you know, hand out really good games. And like, let's say Minecraft, you know, that's a great example.
Oh yeah, Minecraft
Yeah, it does
really well.
do
Yeah.
really well. And then we have Breath of the Wild, which I think has done better than Minecraft even, which is kind of saying a lot at this point.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person and the player. Like, for me, it's never been about specs and frame rate and graphics, you know. If you compare Breath of the Wild with like some of the Xbox, PlayStation games, it doesn't look as good. But Nintendo are clever. Like, the art style they've made for Breath of the Wild makes it look brilliant and makes it look its own. And that's good enough for me. I don't need 4K graphics and like, I don't need accurate frames per set. Like, you know, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, like, and I can totally agree with you. Like, they used an art style that works for Breath of the Wild, and that's what I like about Nintendo. And when they make Legend of Zelda games, they usually like go for a unique art style every single time they make a new Zelda game.
It's that thing of, you know, if you look at Wind Waker for a perfect example, that game you can play today and it doesn't look dated because it's a cartoon style. Like, that's not going to go out of fashion. Whereas some of the old PlayStation, Xbox games, if you play them today, they look really dated because of the comparison of today.
Exactly, and that's one of my favorite things about Zelda, is that even when you play it and you look around at all the scenery, you're all like, this is not out of date. Like, it could be a new game for all you know.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's only the original two that kind of show their age, because the whole not 8-bit, I think it's 16-bit's kind of coming back into fashion, like with Shovel Knight and like indie games. So A Link to the Past kind of could have been released this year and no one would tell the difference.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's funny because like people will be all like, "Oh, these graphics are terrible." I'm like, "Well, look at Minecraft. Look at Undertale. They're doing amazing right now."
Yeah.
Those are two great examples of games that do really well without fantastic graphics.
Exactly.
I think we've been rambling along long enough about all this graphic stuff and console wars and stuff. So, Leesh, thank you for joining me kind of like again, I guess you could say, for this little talk about like Breath of the Wild, since this come out and all, wait's finally over.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it was good to hear your opinions about it, and also what you had to say about like the different areas.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I would never ruin for anyone. Like, if people came and asked me, I'd happily tell them over PM, but it's something that you need to experience for yourself, because it really is a good experience.
Yeah, like sometimes I'll have to play for other people because they like get super stuck, but I'll always tell them, try it first. You need to learn the experience.
Most definitely.
So, thank you for joining me. I hope you go ahead and come back for another episode later on in time.
As long as I'm free, I'll be happy to come back.
Thank you everybody for joining me in this last segment with Leesh. It's been really fun talking with her in the last two segments. I will see you all a little later. Now that we're done talking with Leesh, I guess it's about time for us to move on to our next segment with Ankle.
Hello everyone, this is Ankle. Now this is probably the first time you're hearing from me, and I can assure you, this is certainly not the last, because I'm the one who'll be providing the challenges for the show. Yes, that's right, the challenges. Now what kind of challenges, you must be wondering? Rest assured there will be a variety of challenges, one for every other episode. But for now, it's a secret to everybody. Well, not entirely, because we're going to reveal this month's challenge very soon. But before that, we all know that Breath of the Wild released on the 3rd of this month. One of the most anticipated games Nintendo has ever released. It received critical acclaim, and rightfully so. So we collaboratively thought we could theme this episode on Breath of the Wild, and respectively, the challenge as well. Now, onto the challenge. The challenge is to create Tingle in either a Breath of the Wild art style, or to have him in a Breath of the Wild setting, and it's totally up to you on what he's doing in the setting. So be creative. You can use any type of medium, whether it be drawing, painting, digital, or even an edit. You can go wild with this challenge, pun intended. When you're done, you can submit your artwork using the hashtag KoolooChallenge, or to send to our email, Kooloo-Limpah Tonight@gmail.com. We will decide on which artworks we enjoy most, and we'll reveal them on a following episode. We'll have the email link in the description of the video, and the challenge as well, if you'd like to read on the details. So, there you have it. Be creative, and most of all, have fun with this. I'll see you all next time. Ankle out.